What up guys, it's Brinks, and we gotta talk about Ermac. This character is insane. I've been letting him a lot and checking Twitter clips, and I think I've got a good idea as to how he works and plays at this point. The second half of this video is going to be a preliminary sort of combo guide, where I'm gonna summarize a lot of his mechanics and how you'll be putting together the pieces to his combo structure, because it's pretty crazy. It won't be as thorough or structured as my main character guides, like the smoke and sub ones. I only have 2 of them. Since it's only week 1, though there will be a full guide like that for Ermac coming soon. So I hope this video will help anyone that's wondering if he's worth playing or anyone that wants to jump right into learning him, so let's get into it. So, his damage is on the lower side, but his combo potential is through the roof. Part of that is because of his 2 signature abilities that his kit is focused around: Dash Cancels and Float Cancels. Both types of cancels are going to be how you create your offense, as well as construct combos. So after any string, you can cancel into his back forward 1 soul punch charge, and then dash forward or backward to cancel the charge. Ermac is technically negative after a cancel, but is generally safe. And he has so much freedom with this cancel alone, it's insane. Obviously, you can vary how long you charge for before you release the actual punch to make your opponent have to guess if you are canceling it or releasing it, and you can cancel at any point during the charge before the attack comes out. All of the charged versions are safe on block, and the fully charged version will crumple them if it hits. So there are already mind games with the charge, just with that part alone. Now add dash cancel mind games on top of that, along with Ermac's far-reaching normals, a +2 stand 1, which is only 0 if you do the second hit of the string, by the way, which can be staggered and mixed with cancels, and the fact that nearly all of his normals are safe on block, you can start building some really ridiculous pressure and offense. Here's a list of all of the frame data for Ermac's dash cancels. Ermac can also do an EX soul punch dash cancel, which has 4 more additional frames of advantage compared to a normal cancel, which lets Ermac be plus in some cases with specific cancels. So, as the defender, you have to look out for when or if he cancels the soul punch, whether he retreats or advances after canceling, and what he does next after the cancel, since he has some pretty far-ranging normals. So now, on top of all that, you have to worry about avoiding his grab, which is pretty much unseeable, since he can jab, dash cancel, and immediately throw you for trying to block the pressure. And if you're trying to anticipate a grab and you duck, you risk getting caught by his overhead or mid. So he's going to be very scary at pressuring people and conditioning them to respond a certain way so he can punish and kind of do whatever he wants with you. To add to all that, we have his float cancels. He has a couple moves that leave him airborne that can be canceled into this levitate move, which can then go into a jump normal from there. There is a gap that you can armor through before the aerial actually comes out, like during the float. But Ermac will be quite plus if he gets you to block a jump normal afterward, which then obviously feeds back into dash cancel pressure and everything else on the ground that he can do. It's especially scary after a blocked jump 2, since Ermac will be plus 12. This means both his high stand 1 and high forward 4 into another float cancel will both jail from jump 2 and can be ducked. Additionally, thanks to the EX float cancel, which starts 10 frames faster than normal, you can set up an overhead low 50-50. So after a forward 4, you can go into either EX float jump 1 or you can go into an air down back 3. The soonest I could get the jump 1 to hit was 20 frames after the forward 4, and the low is 18 frames after. Both are technically reactable, but just barely, so this is going to be a straight guess for most people, especially online. Regular air down back 3 only does a little damage into a knockdown unless you use a specific cameo to extend it, like Cyrax. But the EX version captures the opponent for a full combo at the cost of 2 bars. It's an expensive setup, but it can be very strong if you can spare a bar for the EX flow or 2 for the EX ground pound. Ermac can get fairly decent damage from meterless combos as it is, and doesn't need the meter for conversions thanks to all his cancel stuff. He's a lot like Smoke in that regard. So you probably will be using a lot more meter for pressure than combo extensions with Ermac. And then also you can double dip if you want with this setup and throw out the ground pound after they block a jump 1 or 2. Just be aware that both versions of ground pound are super unsafe on block at -27. So you are dead if they block it, but they could be dead if they don't. And to close off this section, there will likely be specific block pressure sequences that will get figured out in the coming weeks for this character, and I will also do a much more extensive Ermac guide in the near future as I get better with him and as more stuff is found out. But I hope that was a sufficient enough crash course in how you'll generally be playing this character. So next, I'm going to teach you the basics of his combo structure. So, getting into combo theory and how you'll be constructing his combos, you'll obviously be opening people up with all of the same normals that you're using during cancel pressure. The combo you do heavily depends on what thing you open them up with. So, if you hit them with a 1-2, you have 2 main options to start. You can go into back forward 3, after which you can dash cancel out and jump into one of Ermac's many aerial strings. Side note, dash canceling out of back forward 3 is considered to be the same as back forward 1 dash cancels, and you can only use 1 per combo. And back forward 3 can only be followed up from if you dash cancel out of it. Otherwise it's too laggy to get any kind of combo. The other meterless route from 1-2 is doing a back forward 1 dash cancel into a forward 4 flow cancel into whatever string you want, which I'll expand on in a bit when we talk about forward 2 combo routes. But part of what makes Ermac's combo game so deep and kind of freeform is that forward 4 flow cancel into jump 1 or 2 obviously lets you go into literally any ground normal that you want, just because of the nature of how Mortal Kombat works with jump attacks. And from here with Ermac, there are quite a few options for strings to start combos with. And while you can only use 1 regular dash cancel or grounded flow cancel per combo, you can use multiple aerial flow cancels per combo, as long as you touch the ground in between them. This is rarely useful since all of your cancels will scale the combo a bit each time, and most routes, you can really only fit 1 aerial cancel before gravity really starts to affect things, but it's useful to know. And back to combo starters, if you land a back 2-4 during pressure, you'll be canceling it into a back forward 3 route just like with 1-2, but just keep in mind you'll have a little less combo gravity to work with since back 2-4 bounces the opponent. Pretty much the same combo routes here, just with a little less leniency. If you open them up with your overhead forward 2, you'll want to go into a back forward 1 dash cancel into a forward 4 float sequence. This link is extremely tight as the forward 2 doesn't have a lot of hit stun. So if you want an easier version of this combo for a bit less damage, you can do forward 2 into dash cancel 1-2, but then you'll either have to finish the string for a pretty small combo, or spend meter or cameos to extend from this point. So if you're going to spend the bar, you can still get pretty solid damage from 1-2 into EX lift, as seen here. But if you want to get decent meterless damage from forward 2, you really want to learn the forward 2 dash cancel into forward 4 flow confirm. And now from this point, whether we've started the combo with a forward 2, a 1-2, a raw forward 4 even, this flow cancel sequence from forward 4 lets us pick from a few different launching options, as I mentioned before. So 2-1 will launch and allow for a forward 4 flow cancel mid-combo into air follow-ups. 2-1-2 will give you a really high launch that you can either float cancel out of at the top of the screen for more air juggles, or you can land afterward into a forward 4 float cancel for air juggles a little closer to the ground. Finally, the 4-2 string will give you a launch that you can also flow cancel out of to extend from into some kind of air juggle. And then obviously if you start with a raw forward 4, then you'll still have your dash cancel available and you can go into the 1-2 back forward 3 route from there. So obviously you have a ton of meterless options to pick from if you land a forward 4 flow cancel sequence. While we're talking about all these flow cancels, I think it's relevant to go over his aerials real fast, so you have an idea of where to go with those flow cancels. Jump 1-4 can combo into itself if you land it low enough to the ground. 2 in a row seems to always allow you to get a 1-2-3, 1+3 under, which does pretty high damage for a string, but side switches. Jump 1-2-3 is going to be your go-to at the end of a lot of combos, since it pretty reliably combos into lift or slam. And is generally going to be your preferred way to extend from a lot of different things. Jump 1-2-2 is better at the beginning of a combo, such as after a back forward 3 launch. If you use it early enough, you can pretty much always get micro dash back to 4 into whatever special you want from there. Or if you have low enough gravity, you can get a 2-1, 1+3 if you want the really cool looking high damaging sky drop ender. The remaining aerials are all various combo enders. Jump 2-1 is reliable if you're afraid you're going to drop the combo, but it generally does less damage than any of the other options. 1-2-1 is another finisher, but it tends to drop a lot with the last hit and higher gravity, so longer combos. But it does pretty decent damage and it looks neat. And then you have 2-4-2 and 2-4-3, which are the highest damage air strings you have by themselves, and they're otherwise the same as each other except one side switches and one doesn't. It also seems like the side switching one is a little more reliable to get the last hit, but that's just been my experience. So back to the forward 4 float cancel follow-ups. Obviously you have a ton of meterless options to pick from if you land a forward 4 float cancel sequence, and those options expand even more if you want to spend some meter, since an EX lift, EX teleport, and a charged EX back forward 1 soul punch can all extend combos. Starting with the EX soul punch, normally you don't have enough time to charge the soul punch, but the EX version actually charges faster, and it combos from a stand 2 or a stand 3, which means that after a float cancel, we can combo right into the charged soul punch crumple, and then after the crumple, you can do a forward 4 float cancel into whatever aerial you want, except for jump 1-2-2, since the last hit will miss because you're this close to the ground. But you do have a few options though from this, as you can see on screen. If you get a close crumple, which happens after a stand 2 into EX soul punch, but not stand 3 into EX soul punch, you can hold up and get an instant like falling jump 1-4 into either another jump 1-4 or a jump 1-2-3. So even after this one EX move, you have a bunch of combo options, both for extensions and combo enders. You also have several options from EX lift, though it'll depend on if you use it early or late in the combo, since gravity will affect what you can do out of it. But as far as I can tell, you'll always be able to at least combo a jump 1-2-3 into a slam. Just make sure that you land it as close to the ground as you can. to give you the most amount of time to connect the slam. If you have more gravity to work with, you'll be able to fit in a string before the ender, or even a back forward 3 if you still have a dash cancel remaining. It is a pretty versatile move. And another side note, with back forward 3, the EX version of it works in all the same situations as the regular version does. As far as I can tell, it doesn't provide any additional extensions or properties compared to the regular one. It just lets you do more damage with the same route, so there is that option too. Finally, EX Teleport is more limited in that it tends to whiff more easily in longer combos, despite being able to control whether Ermac reappears on the ground or in the air. And honestly, it seems like you get more consistent follow-ups from the ground one. He seems to land with a lot of lag if you do the air one, but generally you're better off using the teleport at the beginning of a combo. Luckily though, it does combo from a 1-2 into acceptable damage from what is pretty much a decent hit confirmable starter. But it also works as an extension after 2-1, two, 1-2, and 4-2. And then finally, for ending your combos, back 2-4 or stand 4 into slam or lift seem to be the most damaging enders, but it's dependent on gravity and combo scaling. Also, 2-1 grab is a high damage ender, but it doesn't really connect in longer combos, so it tends to get out-damaged by a lot of other things, despite being cool as shit. And 1-2-3 grab is also pretty easy to connect and tends to be worth it when you can get it, as long as you don't mind the side switch. Otherwise, you have the choice between his various air strings for enders as well. So Kameos will obviously alter a lot of these things and kind of expand a lot of the options depending on what cameo it is and where you want to insert it. But I tried to keep this all just about Ermac so you can learn the character and then try to decide where you want to fit cameos in. But that's going to do it for this video. Hopefully this helped you decide if Ermac is worth trying or gave you enough to really dive into the character, because he is extremely rewarding and his combos are a blast. A more structured guide for him will be in the near future, just like my smoke and sub ones. And otherwise, I'm going to try and finish the buff smoke video and the Scorpion cameo class videos next. And also prepare for more Shijinko content. I've got some ideas. But if you made it this far, you're awesome as usual, and I greatly appreciate you. And if you want to show support, likes and comments go a long way. I try to answer any questions that you may have and respond to all the comments. But yeah, thanks for watching. Later.